Well, hello guys. Welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we have a review. This is a big review. This is the first big knife that I've ever purchased. This thing's huge. Both. Uh, it's just big. This is the Reate Fallout 2.0. Alright guys, so the Reate Fallout 2.0. FYI, I tried to change my lighting up, so if it shines a little bit too much or you see some shadows, I was noticing this side of my camera angle was getting dark while this side was extra bright, so I tried to even it out. We'll see how it ends up. Not really sure where we're at. But this is the Reate Fallout 2.0. This was originally, I think, a Rick Barrett design, and he had a custom model, and Reate ended up taking it and making it into a production model. This is no longer available, guys. I think I picked up the very last one on the retail market. This was going, just as a heads up, for $365. You can see it. You can see it on Blade HQ for $220. Which, if you picked it up for $220, kudos to you. I think what happened was Blade HQ was basically selling out all of their inventory, and so they just marked it down like crazy to get rid of it. Right? There was still some in stock. I want to say this thing's pretty old. I don't know if the original custom model was designed back in like 2010 or 2012. And then the production model, I think, started in 2014. So this is basically a 2014 model. And for 2014, there is so much going on here. So let's get started. This is titanium on both sides, titanium pocket clip and titanium backspacer. This is not a reversible pocket clip. This contoured pocket clip, which kind of comes in like this just to stay off the frame lock, and it does so well, is mounted from the inside. But I don't want to flip it yet because this thing's a beast. All right. So getting down to it, this milling is like this wave pattern. Somebody else probably has a better saying for it or a better terminology. I'm going to call it a wave pattern. And then it stops the milling up here to kind of create this faux bolster, even though it's the same piece of titanium, no difference. It's the exact same. We have a relief cut right here, which is down pretty good. It's not bad. You have a lanyard hole that's just punched right through there just for you lanyard guys. I don't know why you would throw a lanyard on a knife this large, but it's possible, I guess. So it's, as I said, it's real grippy. There is no stop pin. This has internal stops that are going on inside here. This is riding on bearings. And this blade is so interesting. Obviously, I'm avoiding flipping it because this is the talking piece of the knife. Ready? Holy smokes. This blade is large. It's fat, it's tall, it has a compound grind. It's called tanto, and I guess it looks kind of like a tanto once you get over all the compound grinds and whatnot. But then you have the swedge that goes all the way down the length, that's adding a lot of strength to that tip. You have a harpoon grind going on right here, right where your thumb would land, and it lands there very well. Like, I mean, it feels natural. By the way, the ergonomics on this, I really didn't get into the ergonomics normal, I guess, this soon in the reviews. The ergonomics are so great because these are contoured titanium that are wide and they're fat, so there's going to be a lot going on there. So it feels really good in hand. You have a sharpening choil that comes on down here, a flipper tab with some jimping. This is CTS 204P, and as I said, a Rick Barrett design with a pretty cool design logo right there. Let's get so you guys can see it. Pretty cool design logo. Reate knives on that side. And then we have a hollow grind going for the flat, which isn't flat. It's a recurve with the hollow grind into a flat grind for the tip to add extra strength. Let me clean this off so it's nice and shiny for you guys. Sorry about that. So then you have this flat that goes out to the tip along with the spear. Or, I'm sorry, along with the swedge. Very cool. Very unique. And it has its downfalls, obviously, but it's just such a cool piece. And the action, because of how heavy that blade is oh so good. Just so good. And it's so smooth. Last but not least, it does have a over travel stop going on here, right where this stainless steel bearing mount and plate are. That's where the over travel stop is. One thing to note here, let me get out my handy dandy flashlight. Let's see if you guys can see it. There is a ton of milling going on the inside of this guy on both sides. It is very cool. So see if it works better from this side. So you can kind of see there's just a lot of milling there, guys. Look at all that. So this is why a knife like this costs 300, and I drop it. This is why a knife costs $365 when it's basically just titanium, a really interesting looking blade, bearings, and that's about it, right? But no, this thing has so many intricacies. That's what you pay for on these knives at the higher levels. What? But that, sorry, kid was distracting me. I'm trying to include me or anything. But you're paying for all this milling. You're paying for all the internal milling. And are you getting the most functional tool out of a knife that costs $365 when you could purchase one for $20? No, you're definitely losing out on the cost to function ratio. Now, is this any less functional? Absolutely not. But you can get something equally as functional for 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. That being said, for those of us that enjoy all this milling, that enjoy the ergonomics, this fat ass blade that just looks so cool with this compound grind. They call it a tanto, but because it's kind of like a Japanese tanto where it's rounded off and then you have this weird recurve, it's hard to tell what it is. And then you got this harpoon grind going on right there. There's just so much going on here. That's why this costs that much money. And I know people are going to be like, well, I wouldn't pay that much for that because I couldn't, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. And that's everybody's prerogative and your choice and comfort level on where you want to spend money on knives, whether or not you're more of a value of a function over, I guess, enthusiast side, or you can be the healthy mixture of both, or maybe the unhealthy mixture. I guess what I'm turning into is I'm appreciating knives more for, I guess, the art piece and everything that they're doing for it. And I'm going to go out and use it to make simple cuts, right? I mean, I could do that. I could do everything that I pretty much do in a day's work with my Kershaw Launch 10. While I love my Launch 10, that would be kind of boring for me. So, without further ado, let's get you guys some specs on this massive Hulk. We're going to jump into some size comparisons. I'll recap everything, and then I'll get into my likes, my dislikes, and overall thoughts. So first and foremost, let's get you guys some weight. This guy is not a light boy, despite all the milling, and without all the milling, oh my goodness, would this be even worse. So, first and foremost, this is coming in at a whopping 6.5 ounces. So most knives are falling anywhere from the 3-ounce mark to the 5-ounce mark for my preference of carry. But that being said, I mean, I don't have any problems with how heavy this is. I've carried this with, freaking, I don't know, gym shorts and everything. And do my gym shorts kind of fall down if I don't tie it off? Yep. But that's all right. That's my preference. So this is coming in between 8.5 and 8.25 inches long. The overall blade length is coming in at 3.5, and you're actually getting more cutting edge than you are blade length. And you might say, how is that? It's just that the blade length comes just a little bit lower than the actual bolster tip itself. When you measure blade length, you go from tip to the tip of the bolster. And when you do it this way, you're going to end up with a longer cutting edge, especially due to that recurve, which is kind of hard to gauge. Now, this comes with a relatively thick blade stock coming in at 160 thousandths. So the behind the edge thickness, which I'm going to be really, really careful on the hollow grind is coming in at 25 thousandths. And the behind the edge on the tanto flat grind is coming in at 30 thousandths to add strength to the tip of that blade. To put this into perspective, guys, this knife in particular, and I'm still missing out on some of my light. Hold on. Let me see if I can get you guys any more light going on here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to adjust the lighting because right here it's dark and right here it's light, and it's kind of driving me a little nuts. That's a little bit better, even though it casts weird shadows. So, to put this into perspective, what was I talking about? I don't remember. Oh, so the thinness behind the edge here is 25 thousandths. Now remember, this knife came out like 6 years ago. So this Civivi 15 thousandths behind the edge really didn't exist back then. So this is relatively thin behind the edge. And it's, I mean, for coming out with 160 thousandths and only starting to grind from about a little over half the way up, that's actually pretty damn narrow. Let's get you guys some more specs here. I got to be really careful with this. I got a secret to tell you guys after this. All right, so the overall thickness is coming in at 0.53 inches, which is relatively not, it's not too thick, but the contoured scales and how wide they are make it feel much larger. Height-wise, this thing's pretty much a massive hulking beast, coming in at 1.75 at its tallest point. At the average points coming in at 1.53. To put that into perspective, your Spyderco Manix 2 is coming in at 1.76, your Spyderco Para 3 is coming in at 1.66, and your Spyderco Para 2 is coming in at 1.6. Whew. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, that's why. Hold on. My tape fell off. I know it's still dark there, but he's forgiving a little bit. Come on, I need to figure this out. All right, so time for some size comparisons. Here is your feldspar sandwich. Large feldspar, mini feldspar, obviously insanely larger than both, right? I don't really have any of my normal size comparisons that are really going to compare and give you guys like any type of comparison when it comes to just like relatively average. So here's my Little Native and my Tenacious, both dwarfed by the Reate Fallout 2.0. Like I said, this is a very, very large knife. Here is your Rat Model 1, almost as long, but nowhere near as wide, and your Rat Model 2. I know I'm kind of ripping through these. I got some more that I wanted to show you comparisons with. Here is your Savivi Brazen, which we will get you guys a review soon. Love the knife, by the way. That's probably one of Savivi's best knives, in my opinion. So here you go. Obviously, much larger than the Elementum and Brazen, right? All right, so now on to the cameo appearances. And I'm droning on quite long. So here is your ZT-0562 in full titanium. Fun note. What did I trade? Oh, both. You guys are going to laugh. Both of these knives are actually traded. Now, I promise you, the reason for the trades are because it's huge. It's huge. These are going to be some huge trades. And they're not traded together, but I will show you in my next review what I traded with this. But, so that was your ZT-0562. Here is your Hinderer XM18 3.5 skinny sheep's foot. And as you can see, I mean, Hinderer 3.5s are not that small. And this thing dwarfs it. The only other knife that I think of that would be a great comparison, which I don't know what the hell I did with it. Here is your Wee Malice. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Dream knife of mine, this Wee Malice. And the Wee Malice does kind of compare in size. It's obviously still smaller, but it's almost just as wide. The blade is almost just as tall, and it's maybe shorter by 1/2 inch or so. I'm going to do one more comparison, and I know I'm droning this on, but this is my Hinderer XM18 3-inch Gen 4. The reason that I'm showing you this, not because of the size comparison, but because this was recently traded together. I had to trade these two knives to get the next knife that's coming in. So that just puts it into perspective where we're going here, right? We got something really, really big coming in, guys. Just as a little, there you go. That's the only reason that I would trade this. This actually holds a spot near and dear to my heart because it was the first knife that I purchased that was pretty damn expensive. And I loved it, but there's some things that I didn't love about it, and it became more of a sitting piece than a user piece. So let's go into a quick recap. The blade is what really steals the show here. It's hard to get it all because of the compound grinds and everything going on. It's actually kind of cool. It's like, all right. So we have a hollow grind going on here with a recurve for the flat. We have a tanto with the flat grind right here, and then we have this harpoon style blade shape with the swedge that carries all the way down the length of the blade. We have a sharpening choil going on here, and this is a flipper tab with jimping. And the jimping feels pretty darn good. It's almost non-existent type of jimping. It's not that bad. The action on bearings feels great, and how heavy this blade is even better. I mean, it just, and it's smooth, guys. This is Reate smooth. It's just really, really nice. Then we have these titanium scales on both sides with matching milling patterns with this faux bolster. I don't know if faux bolster is the right word, but it's a fake bolster, I call it. With the way that they stop their milling pattern to kind of create a bolster style look. And this milling pattern is kind of like these waves. And Ergonomically, it works fantastic. You have this pocket clip that comes down and it has a curve to it. Why does it have a curve to it? So it doesn't land on the frame. So that even if you're pressing on the pocket clip, it does not make it more difficult or less difficult to open. You have a titanium backspacer going on here and some screws that I believe are T8, T8, and T8 if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not going to check those because I did trade this. There's no reason to kind of scratch this up a little bit more. So we have a lanyard hole right here, and that's about it, other than the insane amount of milling on the inside. Insane. And cool pivot screws. I believe this side's captive and this side's not. Once again, there's no real reason for me to take that off. So there's your recap. So what do I like about this knife? First and foremost, what the hell? Somebody turned the pages of my notes. It was kind of hilarious. The first thing that I liked about it was convenience and ease of carry. And that's how I knew I was on the wrong freaking notes right there. First thing I like about this knife, and probably the biggest selling point, is the aesthetic appeal of the blade. This blade just has so much going on. I am a fan of just intricate blade styles and shapes, and when they do a bunch of stuff to it, it just looks so cool. And it's so tall, it's just manly looking. I mean, this thing's just, man, it feels so good in hand. And that brings me to my next. Ergonomically, this thing's sound as hell. This thing in your hand just feels really, really good, and you're locked in due to this milling, which does not feel aggressive, but you get it in hand and this thing isn't going anywhere. It feels great. Next that I really like is the action from Reate. Reate just fantastic action. This is just, you can't express how nice this is. This is really, really nice. And it doesn't feel like, it's hard to explain, and people are going to make fun of it, but there's something different about the action on something like a Reate versus a Civivi, and it's not necessarily more enjoyable or less enjoyable. It's just, it feels ultra smooth and controlled rather than just like wha-bam, wha-bam, right? Which isn't bad at all. I'm not hating on Civivi for that, and nor should I, considering the price range difference. But I just want that to be known. This feels different. It's kind of like the Koenig Arius, even though this doesn't compare to the Arius's action. I'm just saying the action when you get to the higher level knives just feel really, there's something, it's an intangible difference. And maybe that's because we spend so much money on these knives, we have to justify it somehow. Food for thought. And then last, it kind of goes into the ergonomics. I love contoured scales, and I love how wide these scales are. They really lead to great ergonomics. And just the overall look of this knife is absolutely fantastic. So what don't I like about this guy? So first and foremost, it's kind of big, right? 6.5 ounces. I mean, this thing's just a tank, and it's light for how big it is, but it's still a massive tank. This is a pocket hog, and it's going to take it up every single day of the week. The second thing, and probably the one reason why I choose not to use this as much, is this blade shape. While I love this blade shape, this recurve pisses me off because I hate recurves. I like using them, but they terrify me. For example, my Hawkbill on my Launch 10, I got to deal with this. This is my unboxing, and it's becoming to the point where I got to like strop it up or something. And I have a way to strop it up at home, but I don't have a way to sharpen these. So it's a little scary. Other than that, I have no dislikes. I think this thing's fantastic. The carry factor and the recurve kind of dissuade you a little bit. And then it does look kind of mean. It's one of those knives that it does have like a mean presence to it. It's like, to me, it's a manly presence. But I could see how you pull this out and somebody's going to go, ah, Michael Myers, right? I could definitely see that happening. Other than that, this is the Reate Fallout 2.0. Can I recommend this for $365? No, I cannot, because it is no longer available. I don't believe they're going to make any more of them, so if you were to find this, you would find this on the secondary market, and I've never seen one on the secondary market. I'm not trying to give a review of a knife that you guys can't have. I can give you guys the name of the guy that I traded this to, and he's probably going to be selling it. I think he kind of settled for the trade, which benefits in my part, but maybe not his. I don't know, but I'm happy he made the trade. And yeah, so I mean, these are going to be difficult to come by. They're more of a piece that you're going to enjoy and look at and carry around and fidget with and make a tiny cut, more so than really hard use. Not to say this is not a hard use knife. You can use the living shit out of this, and you're not going to have any problems short of having to sharpen up that recurve. Fantastic, fantastic knife. Awesome. Just awesome. It kind of sucks that they're out, but I know they're coming out. Like Mikkel Williamson makes stuff that are similar to this with the blade shape, and it's kind of obnoxious large and stuff. So keep eyes out for him. And yeah, so Rick Barrington, I don't know if he's doing anything anymore, but he should, because this is really appealing and really cool. That is all I got for you guys. My name is Tyler. Sorry this one droned on a little bit longer than it should have. You guys stay sharp, stay safe. Have a great freaking rest of your day, guys. Thanks for watching.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means a lot. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback in the comments below and hit the thumbs down button. In case you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon, which will be listed right here. In that Patreon, we're giving bi-monthly giveaways to just the Patreons based on the number of Patreons that we have in the Patreon. We will also be giving discounts on all the knives that I sell based on the number of patrons. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great day.